What up, guys? How's it going? Happy Thursday. I just wanted to come on and riff for a little bit, if that's all right. I don't really have any news stories to talk about right now. I more so just want to riff and offer an opinion and answer any questions in the chat because I oftentimes like to talk about things when they're just kind of like on my mind, like as they're kind of fresh. And I've been thinking a lot about the types of people who engage in cancel culture for maybe obvious reasons the last week or so. And I wanted to kind of download some of the things that I'm thinking about to you guys so that you can do with it what you will. Because I know that one of the things that people always tell me in regards to why they don't speak out, why they don't fight back, is they're afraid of getting canceled. And I completely understand being afraid of getting canceled because I was afraid of getting canceled too before it started happening. But the thing of it is like once it happens, and for me, it's happened several times now from both sides of the aisle. Both sides hate me. And I have equal disdain for both sides of the aisle. So the feeling is mutual. But like once it happens and you kind of go through the worst of what it's going to be, you start to recognize patterns and you start to understand how it works. And I'm not going to suggest that I have it all fully figured out yet, but I think I'm in a pretty good place to talk about some of the learnings to help other people at least maybe like at least like it's not. I hate to say I want to help with you feeling comfortable with being canceled because no one is ever like totally comfortable with it because there is always that kind of like unknown factor, but I want to give people hope that it is in most cases, in like the vast majority of cases, it is an absolutely survivable situation. And in frankly most of the times that I've been quote unquote canceled, it really hasn't impacted my life at all. Not in any way. So I thought I would just come on and do a stream about that and talk about that and answer your questions. Now, I do want to take a couple, I just want to address some things. Progressive Rising says no more happy hour Fridays. No, that's not true at all. We are absolutely going to do happy hour Fridays. We will be doing happy hour tomorrow. Now, Benjamin Elliott is correct to say that happy hour will be going to my second channel, Actively Unwoke, starting in the new year. For the rest of the year, it's going to be on my main channel. But after that, in 2022, it is going to be next. It is going to be on Actively Unwoke. The link to subscribe to Actively Unwoke is down there in the description somewhere if you guys are interested in that. But no, we're absolutely going to be doing happy hour. 100% going to be doing happy hour. That's not going anywhere. You don't have to worry about that. 10 dislikes instantly, petty AF. Yes, people who cancel you on the internet are indeed petty AF. But you know what? They can dislike all they want. The thing of it is I don't really care. Sorry, don't care. Very rarely do I even look at the percentages of dislikes on my videos, mostly because it's like I know when I'm going to get downvoted by conservatives. If I know exactly when it's going to happen, and I know they're basically saying I disagree with you. Me, let them. People are allowed to disagree, so that's fine. Let me see. Let me see. I do have a super chat here from Nick H. Thank you. I encourage demand rants. Please rant at will. I don't know if I'm going to do a rant today, Nick. I don't know if that is I don't know. Maybe there'll be a midstream rant. I'm not planning on doing a rant right now. I feel pretty good. I want to talk about my experience like being canceled and what I've observed, and hopefully people find that helpful. Now, I should say this before we get started. I'm in a very, very blessed situation in that I have essentially cancel proofed myself. And the people trying to cancel me fucking hate it. They hate it. They hate it so, so, so much. So, yes, Hallie Actively Unwoke is my other channel. Yes, confirmed. It is my other channel. And we're going to be doing more like stuff about how to fight back against the woke next year. I'm kind of letting it sit right now, but we're going to be doing lots more stuff over there. Anyway, the people who try to cancel me, they hate that they can't figure this out. Because the thing of it is after almost 2 years ago now, after I left the left, I was already very lucky anyway, in that I was already working for myself. When I originally kind of got outed as leaving the Democratic Party and not thinking Trump supporters were Nazis, and yes, that did impact my business. Essentially what happened is I had to readjust the way my business was structured in order to not do things that would set me up to be canceled. So I mean, quite frankly, in my business, there are just things that I can't do right now. I cannot do consulting. I cannot do work that is going to require me to interact with a lot of people within an organization. I can't really do like corporate training like I used to do. I can't really do keynotes like I used to do. Now it kind of sucks because I was making a lot of my money doing keynotes, but like at the same time, we had a pandemic and they weren't doing keynotes anyway. So it was something that was going to have to be rethought anyway. So what I ended up doing is I ended up restructuring my business to basically what I do in like because I actually do still do organizational psychology in real life. Right. But the form that it takes most of the time is private one-on-one coaching. And the way I structured it is it's private. Every single coaching contract I have confidentiality clauses so people can't talk about it. I don't talk about who I'm coaching with anyone. No one. You guys will notice I have never I barely even talk about the fact that I do coaching, right? So it's through word of mouth, which is fine. And actually the way coaching usually works anyway, to be quite frank. But I also have in my coaching contracts a cancellation clause. So if they cancel the coaching arrangement, they still have to pay me the full fee. So in that way, it's like in my private business, in my private life, I am able to make money in a way that other people don't know what I'm doing. And this drives the cancel mob crazy because every single time they come at me, they always go through my business website. I get all these mean emails like, your business, blah, 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 blah." I haven't updated my business website in like 2 years. I don't even look at it anymore because that's not how my business is like run now. It's just not. It's through word of mouth. It's all kind of like back channeled. And so they can't get at the people who are actually hiring me, which is pretty great because and even if they could, they can't do anything about it because even if the client tried to cancel the contract, they'd still have to effing pay me anyway. So I am extremely lucky and extremely blessed that not only do I have that, but I also do, of course, make money from YouTube. I make money from locals. My locals community it is the biggest source of income I have right now for the public stuff. And so if you guys want to join my locals community, that would be great. It's always a good way to help me out. I love this. Les Mordor says, judging by the reaction to some of your tweets, I say you've successfully transitioned from keynotes to re-notes. Yeah, I'd say that's probably true. But all this is to say is that, I know that I don't do content that is actually really controversial in real life. I don't do content that violates YouTube's terms of service. Locals is never going to cancel me. They can't figure out how to cancel my business relationship. So I have pretty much made myself like uncancelable at this point. There has not been a single monetary loss for me probably in a year and a half in regards to that. And I want to start by acknowledging that because I understand that not everyone is in this position. However, I would strongly encourage you, if you have the ability, if you feel the need to speak up and to speak out, then you want to take precautions to make sure your income is as untouchable as it possibly can be. And that's going to give you the ability to say what you think without so much worry as to the implications for that. And that's a really important step. And anyone can do this. Like I didn't work any sort of magic. Basically all I did was restructure how I was making money on the back end, and I restructured my contracts for cancel clauses and confidentiality agreements, and that was pretty much it. So, like, if you aren't there yet, I totally understand. If you're working for someone else, I totally understand. These are always situations we're going to have to navigate. But if you take their ability to take your income away, you open up a lot of doors for yourself. And it could, frankly, even be as simple as starting a side hustle. I really do wish that more people in 2020 had the motivation to start a side hustle. If they were laid off or they were collecting enhanced unemployment benefits or all that stuff, it was a golden opportunity to use that time wisely to start a side hustle on that. Hallie, I need to see Hunter Avalone's burning bridges. Okay, so here's what happened with that. Hunter Avalone tried to set me up. So I have actually I'll just address this directly, and again, because 'cause I'll take your guys' questions, and then we can go back and forth between your questions and, my thoughts on the subject. I had always had, like, an okay relationship with Hunter Avallone, to be really honest about it. Like, I kind of view him as I feel bad for Hunter. I do. And I understand political journeys, I think, as well as anyone does. And so I kind of thought like Hunter's a young kid. I actually really like Hunter's wife. I think Hunter's wife is a sweetheart. I really do. Um and I'd always had an okay relationship with him. So when he DM'd me, he's like, "You want to come on my channel and talk about this tweet?" I was like, "Okay, Hunter, sure, fine. We've always had a good relationship." Hunter started in immediately coming at me and obviously trying to set me up. And so then I basically decided I wasn't going to take the situation seriously at all and went at him. And then he got pissed off and he kicked me off his stream. And then he DM'd me. He DM'd me. He's like, "Come back on my stream." And I'm like, "No, you raging asshole. I'm not going to come back on your stream." And then Hunter had a little hissy fit and he made a little video. But this is what I'm talking about. Listen, man, videos like Hunter Avallone's, videos like Mikey Harlow. No, I haven't watched it. No, I'm not going to. I have heard that he took text messages out of context. And by the way, guys, by the way, if anyone ever shares private messages, and I'm looking at you, Mikey Harlow, and I'm looking at you, Kieran White, if anyone ever shares private text messages, do you think that's a person that can be trusted? Do you think that those messages just came out of nowhere? Do you think that there wasn't a back and forth involved in those text messages? Of course there was. There always is. And they always leave out the context because they're trying to portray you as the worst possible thing in the world. And I mean, you guys can think I'm the worst possible thing in the world if you want, but it's like, do you guys really think that you should ever trust someone that would share private text messages? I wouldn't. If I saw someone sharing private messages that someone else has sent them publicly, I truly don't care if that was I truly do not care if they really are the worst person in the world. If you're sharing private text messages, you have shown emphatically that you are never a person to be trusted. Ever. So that should be your first sign. I have private text messages too. I have private text messages from Mikey Harlow. I have private messages from Kieran White. I ain't sharing shit. Because things that are said in private should damn well stay in private. And if the best you have is to take someone's private messages out of context and put them publicly on the internet, that tells you a lot about the person, doesn't it? That tells you what depths, and this is where I want to start getting into just like what I observe about people who are trying to cancel other people. What like if someone shares private text messages or private DMs, and this is a question for the chat. What does that tell you about that person? What type of person would hate someone so much that they would share private text messages or private DMs with the world for the pure purposes of creating ridicule and scorn? What does that tell you about that person? And by the way, guys, by the way, most of the time, the public doesn't even give a fuck. The people watching that don't give a fuck. They might like the drama of it and they might like the intrigue and like, ooh, what really happened? but usually they don't really care. Yeah, Les Marauder says they're willing to use the confidence of others for their own best interest. That person has a malignant agenda. Yeah, yeah. What I think about people who share private text messages is that if that it like, how far would they go? How much would they lie? Why do they hate themselves so much? Yes, Reagan. Yes, yes. I was just about to get to this. I'd say insecurity. This kind of stuff saddens me. People who would do this stuff are incredibly insecure. They're incredibly insecure. Nano Warrior says sounds like an episode of Mean Girls. That's because it is. That's because it is. Yeah, I trust people who share private text messages about as far as I can throw them, because if they would do it to me, they would do it to you, they would do it to anyone. I'm nothing special. I'm nothing special. I'm not any meaner. I'm not any more aggressive than any other person can be. So if they're doing it to me or they're doing it to someone else, even if it's a person that you don't like, they do it to anyone. I tend to think you're special. I'm really not. I'm really not, not in any way. But I want to talk about the insecurity bit because, a lot of the people that I've noticed, you know what? It's so funny. So Mikey Harlow posted this video about me. And again, no, I haven't watched it. I don't really care if you do, but I kind of, I can be an instigator. I can. And so I dropped a comment in the video and I said, and there's a purpose for me telling this story. I dropped a comment in the video and I said, "Mikey, how does it feel that the most successful video on your channel is all about me?" Yeah, I was being a little bit of a bitch. But the reason I did that is I wanted to stir them up. I wanted to see what would happen. I wanted to see them get all stirred up. And when they got all stirred up and they all started responding back to me saying, all these horrible things, all I could vision was just a gross level of immaturity and mean girl behavior. And for me, it was like it is a group of people. Carrie has an article. These people are fucking obsessed with me. How is it possible that these people are this obsessed with me? How is this possible that these people are this obsessed with me? I didn't intend to talk about this. Holy shit. I haven't even spoken to Carrie Smith in over a year. They are obsessed. This is a good time to talk about creators versus destroyers. This goes back to the whole discussion on, insecurity, because I do believe there's a tremendous amount of insecurity that goes on with these people, which is why they're obsessed with me when they could be. Listen, man, Carrie Smith, Mikey Harlow, Kieran White, they could be obsessed with changing the world and making it better, and instead they're choosing to be obsessed with me. Why not redirect that energy to something positive? Why not redirect that energy to something that makes people's lives better or makes them feel more fulfilled or makes them laugh? Why not do that instead? And the reason they can't do that is because all of those people that are running around with me living rent free in their brains, they're destroyers, they're not creators. I really believe there are two types of people in the world. And you can go back and forth. It's a spectrum. It is a spectrum. But the two poles of the spectrum are on one side we have creators. On the other side, we have destroyers, and people can go between. But creators fundamentally bring value to the world. They make other people feel good. They see themselves as being of service to other people. Something that I've been thinking a lot about and something that I've always tried to structure my business around and things like that is how can I be of service to others? How can I lift other people up? Because I frankly feel good when I'm watching other people be their best or find their potential or any of these things. How can I be of service to other people? Creators give value to the world in some way. They create, right? Creation, being creative, is an innate act that every human being can do. Some people think of being creative as like painting a painting or writing a song or maybe knitting a shawl, but it doesn't need to be that. I mean, listen, man, the act of having a baby is the act of creation. It is a very human act. You are creating new life. I think that creators have one of the things that sets creators apart is that they have a level of self-esteem that tells them, "I have something valuable to give the world. My words have value, my actions have value, my thoughts have value, my ideas have value." And because they believe that their ideas and their thoughts are valuable, they are able to use those ideas and thoughts to create something to give to other people that other people will find valuable. That's one type of person. We go along to the other side of the spectrum, we have destroyers. The thing that all destroyers have in common is an absolute lack of self esteem, an absolute lack of self worth. They don't view themselves as valuable. They don't view themselves as lovable. They don't view themselves as having anything to give to the world. Why would anyone listen to me? I have nothing of interest to say. I'm not good enough. No one will take me seriously. And because they don't feel good about themselves and they don't feel like they can perform the very human act of creation in what however you define that, they tend to be angry and they tend to be depressed and they tend to be frustrated. And they usually target that energy at destroying the good work of other people. So when I look at people that are actively engaging in cancel culture, I see people that are proactively, most of the time for no good reason that they can even assess, trying to destroy the work of other people because it is the destruction of other people that brings meaning to their lives. How sad is that? How sad is that? I'm being serious for a second. You know, for as much as Carrie and Mikey and Karen might hate me, and there are many others that do as well. Those are just the 3 that I'm thinking of at the moment because you guys brought up 2 of them. The 3rd one brought himself up. Um, I actually think it's very sad because I think all 3 of the people that I've mentioned actually do have a lot more they could give to the world. And if they focus their energy on what they could give to the world, rather than focusing on destroying me, like, why? Like, what value this is the question I always ask, is like, what value do people get from trying to destroy me or anyone else, quite frankly? Like, what does that do for themselves? Does it make them feel good? The only reason we really ever do something is it makes us feel good, right? Does it make them feel good? Does it get them off? Melanie says, I saw the Mike Harlow video. My first instinct was, me thinks he doth protest too loudly. Yeah. I think the very first thing that we need to do when we're being canceled is fundamentally look at people and see them for what they are. As sad, probably depressed, probably really low self-esteem. and they are trying to find their self-esteem and their self-validation through destroying other people. They think for some reason it's gonna make them happy, it never does. Listen, I've engaged in canceling before without really thinking about it. I understand. Um, I'm sure many of you have too, like, you send that mean tweet, and I'm never gonna stop sending mean tweets, by the way. It's my only outlet. But I really do try to be more responsible about how I'm doing it these days and try to, like, comment on the ideas rather than the person. Um, so I'm not saying that I'm completely innocent in all this, because sometimes it is easy to get caught up in the mob, and it's exciting and it's like a group activity. I won't say I'm innocent, but I do try to learn. And I don't really feel good about myself when I'm doing that. It doesn't add value to my life. It actually is a giant effing waste of time. And I think that people who want to give value to the world, who want to be more of a creator than they are a destroyer, I think that the only possible way they can look at cancel culture is a fundamental waste of time. It doesn't do anything good. Nothing is built by canceling someone else. No gifts are given to the world by canceling someone else. It's just a big waste of time. But they're doing it because they're sad and because they have low self-esteem and low self-worth. And that can be the first shift for cancel culture, what that you have to have when you're in the midst of, you know, having people say nonsense about you on the internet. Oh, I'm glad you guys watched this video, because I really didn't. I really thought for a couple minutes, I was like, maybe I should do a special where if I can get like 200 people to join my locals as supporters, I'll watch the video and respond to it. But then I was like, I just don't really want to watch the video. I just don't care that much. Like, again, it doesn't add any value to my life. Dashing Rogue says, I also saw the Mike Carlo video as well. Here's what I took from it. You, Borisenko, are a ball buster. Nothing wrong with that, by the way. And Mike spoke a lot about entitlement, which means he thinks he is. Entitlement. Okay. Yeah, I am a ball buster, that's for sure. That's for sure. So the first thing that we need to do when we're being canceled is that you have to realize that the people perpetrating what seems to be an awful lot of hurt on you, they're sad people. They're broken people. They are broken in some way. Just because they're broken does not mean you have to allow yourself to be broken. Just because I'm going to say this again because this is important. Just because they are broken does not mean you have to allow yourself to be broken. You can have sympathy or empathy for them, and I think it's perfectly fine to. But what they are going through is their business. Whatever is causing them to not feel good about themselves, to feel like the only meaning that they can find in life is by destroying someone else that they haven't even talked to in over a year. That's the only meaning they can find in life. That's a sad thing, but that is not your problem to fix. It is not your problem. Their emotions are their business. Their feelings are their business. And frankly, you can't change them if they do not want to be changed. So Dashing Rogue asks a good question. When I say canceling, do I mean deplatforming? No, I mean really any time that a mob of people is trying to shut you up. Sometimes it's a little mob. Sometimes it's a great big mob. Sometimes it's Newsweek. By the way, I have another thought on this. I have another thought on this. This thought about entitlement. I'm going to be honest. I do feel entitled. That's going to get clipped out of context. I'll tell you that right now. I do feel entitled. Let me tell you what I feel entitled to. I feel entitled to live a happy life doing exactly what I want to do. I feel entitled to make decisions for myself, to go after things that make me feel good, to spend my time doing activities that I enjoy, to be around people that I like, not around people that are gonna make me miserable. I feel entitled to all of those things, and what's more, I think that every single one of you that's watching right now, including the people who are hate watching me, don't think I don't know you're there. I want every single one of you to feel entitled to exactly the same thing. That is honestly, that is another thing about the destroyers, about the people who engage in this bullshit, is they don't feel entitled to live a happy and blessed life. I believe that everyone, by virtue of being born, is entitled to live a happy and blessed life. I want you to feel entitled to that. I want every single one of you to feel the same entitlement that I do. Entitlement does not run out. We can all feel equal levels of entitled. And if anyone tells you that you are not entitled to live a happy and blessed life, just know that that is a sign that they have low self-esteem and low self-worth, and they don't feel entitled to live a happy and blessed life. I was so lucky before all this internet bullshit. Can I tell you guys, one of the reasons I think I struggle with this online content bullshit, not that you guys are bullshit, but I think a lot of the drama is bullshit, is because I had successfully structured my life. I had successfully structured my life before all this, where I literally never had to interact with people I didn't want to interact with. I was very selective about the clients I took on. I worked for myself. I didn't have to deal with any bosses. I was very selective about who I spent my time with. I literally, before I got outed from the Trump rally article, I very literally had structured my life so I never had to interact with people I did not want to interact with, and it was fucking great. It was amazing. I felt awesome. It's all fun and games until you go viral on the internet. But I feel like I'm trying to draw that back now. I feel like I'm doing the very best I can, and part of the reason is this cancel nonsense, to be able to restructure my life so as much as possible, like, listen, man, if you don't like my content, don't watch it. I don't care if I lose every subscriber I have. Okay, that would kind of suck. It would kind of suck, but I don't think I will, is the thing. I'll lose some, and that's fine. But this is another thing that I think that people need to realize when it comes to being canceled is like, you don't need to be liked by everyone. You can live a happy and blessed and amazing life and not be liked by everyone. In fact, it's not even ideal to try to be liked by everyone. You know, I get in a lot of trouble with people being like, oh, she blocked me. She was mean to me on Twitter. I don't want everyone in my audience, because if I have to cater to every single person and what every single person wants and be beholden to that, I'm going to be effing miserable. Yes, JB says, you are not entitled to be liked by everyone. No, you're not. But that's okay. Not everyone needs to be best friends. And there are absolutely people that like I don't want in my audience, and the fact that I try to focus my audience as much as possible, that makes it possible for me to have more authentic interactions with people who do want to be here and do like what I'm putting out there. The fact that I don't have to deal with the nonsense, they like people on Mikey's show, like I'm unsubscribing from your channel. Like, good, go. Your unsubscription, when you probably weren't watching my content to begin with, allows me more time to interact with people who actually want to be here. It allows me more time to have the type of interactions I want to have. If I'm going to do this content thing, I'm not going to suffer doing it. Absolutely not. I do feel entitled not to suffer. Absolutely. 100%. Let's see. I saw a question from Reagan and I want to make sure I take it. Do you want to live? I don't know if this is actually a question for me or just for the chat, like a rhetorical question, but I think, you know, it's good to think about these things. Do you want to live a life where you are focused towards success more or towards failure, positive thinking or negative thinking? Reagan, that is exactly correct. And this is the advice I would give to anyone who maybe finds themselves in the midst of being canceled. It's kind of like Do you wanna focus on the bad? Do you wanna focus on the nonsense? Do you wanna focus on all of that? Or do you wanna focus on giving value to the world? Do you wanna focus on creating good for the world? Do you wanna focus on yourself and how you're processing and the perspective you have of all this information? That's what the wo but I'll call them woke. Fuck it. That's what the woke don't do. They are absolutely incapable of self-reflection of what might have brought them into this situation to begin with, Kieran. Absolutely incapable of self-reflection. Graphically Alex says, "This seed stitch is making me want to cancel someone. LOL. Seed stitch sucks, man, but seed stitch looks so good." I hate doing seed stitch, but it looks so good. I love the outcome. I hate doing it. I hate it. So we know that people who engage in cancel culture have low self-esteem. We know they have low self-worth. We know that they are deriving their self-worth out of destroying others. What we also need to know is that they are trying to exert power over you. That is the only reason they're trying to cancel you. They are trying to exert power over you. For what reason? I'm going to ask you guys a question. We're going to see the psychologist come out in the chat. If someone has low self-esteem, they don't feel good about their lives, they don't feel good about themselves, they're engaging in little cancel mobs and they're trying to exert power over you. What is their goal? What do you think their goal is? Any ideas? Dashing Rogue, I'm going to disagree with you. I want everyone to feel entitled to happiness because I think that if people feel entitled to be happy, they will be more likely to be happy. I think if people feel entitled to happiness, they will be more likely to pursue happiness. So I'm going to disagree with you. All right. Naruto says destruction. Yes. Nana Warrior says gaslighting. Oh, they're absolutely doing that. And we're going to talk about the gaslighting in a second. Hellman said temporary satisfaction. Sure. Not quite what I'm going for. Yes. Lakita is getting there to bring others down to their level. More specifically, Lakita, they're trying to bring you down to their level. They're absolutely doing it to feel better about themselves. Yes. Tearing you down to prop themselves up. Aha! Last Marauder! To bring other people to the same level of mediocrity that they feel they are at. If someone feels bad about themselves, they're angry at the world for some reason, they decide that you're the person that they want to focus their anger on for usually what is amounts to like a couple days worth of time. It's really usually not that bad. They're doing it specifically to exert power over you. What they're trying to do is to make you feel like they feel. They're trying to make you feel angry and bad about yourself. They're trying to make you feel like your life is over. So whoever said gaslighting, oh God, I made up a word. Gaslighting. That's it. They're trying to gaslight you into believing that the only choice you have in life is to be like them. You always have more choices in life. You always have more choices in life. Yeah, Jeffrey, I have no arms. Let's cut off your arms too so it's fair. I think that's a perfect analogy. If I have to feel miserable and unloved and have no self-esteem in the world, then everyone else should feel the same as me. Angry people, the goal of angry people is only ever to create more anger. And we've probably all been through this at some point in our lives because again, there's not a single person watching this that is a perfect person, right? I'm spoiler alert, I'm not perfect. I can be a little feisty, I can be a little firecracker, I can say things very bluntly in a way that pisses people off and looks really bad when it's presented in out of context messages that were never meant to be public, Kieran. But fundamentally, just because you have moments that we all do doesn't mean that you're living angry. But, like, think about a time here's the point I wanna make. Think about a time that you were in a fight with someone, because we have probably all had these moments. You were in a fight with someone, and that fight was going, and it was raging, and you just wanted to keep fighting. Like, your entire goal in that fight was to piss someone else off. And at some point in the fight, you maybe even forgot why you were angry in the first place, because your anger had transferred from the reason the fight started to just pissing the other person off and making them angry. Has anyone ever been through something like that? Yeah, Alex, I was pretty bummed about it too. Still am. Still am. The thing with Kieran is like, that's kind of a different thing. That's kind of a different thing. But he's caused this problem publicly now, so I have to effing speak to it. I was trying to handle it privately. But I really am sad about that, and if Kieran ever wants to make better choices, he knows how to get in touch. Yeah, so you guys are saying in the chat, yeah, you understand what that's like. Anger wants to create more anger. Anger wants to create more bitterness, more hate, more frustration, all of these things. When we get in the zone of being angry, it's almost like you can't even see anything else. And so that's how you need to look at people when they're trying to cancel you. Is they're trying to bring you to their level. The only thing they want in the world is to bring you to their level, to make you as upset as they are. If you don't know who I'm talking about, it doesn't matter. Some people do, some people don't. If you don't know who I'm talking about, it doesn't matter, which is precisely the point. But I watched this when I commented on Mikey's little video about me, like the little mob spinning up, and they say things. Oh, this happened when the white identitarian thing happened as well. They try to gaslight you. Someone mentioned gaslighting earlier. Let's talk about gaslighting. Because they have low self-esteem, they're just trying to destroy other people for fun, to as a way to build themselves up, because they don't think they can contribute value to the world, because anger wants to create more anger. What they do is they try to gaslight you. They say things like, "Well, you're obviously so embarrassed, or you're obviously so angry, or you're obviously unhinged, or you obviously need a wellness check." They're trying to gaslight you into thinking that you're crazy when you're not. And sometimes they're like a lot of them doing it. So for like what they're trying to do is like from an outsider perspective, if like you don't know what they're trying to do is to make other people believe that you're crazy when in fact they are the ones that are losing their shit. Can you like I cannot imagine a reality in which I would be so passionate about destroying someone else's life. That just makes no sense. Thank you, Mandatory Carry, for the dollar super chat. Nick H says, Hell hath no fury like a woman scorned. Rip Kieran. I really hope that he gets his shit together. Honestly. Because the thing about that situation is that, like, we did good work together. And then something happened, and I'm not going to say what, and it all went to shit. And I'm really, actually really upset about it. Well, and that's another thing, too, is like, listen, these are different scenarios. Mikey and Carrie Smith are, obsessed with being famous. really obsessed with being famous. That's a different situation. I do think that we have to have empathy sometimes for people who are doing this stuff. I think that we need to make room for people to make mistakes and to figure it out. It's a lot harder to forgive when it happens in public, but that is a situation where I do still have I'm leaving the door open for different decisions to be made. Let's just say that. Anyway, so we know that they're trying to gaslight us into believing that we're the angry ones. And the reason that they try to gaslight us into believing that we're the angry ones, we're the unhinged ones, we're the ones that need the mental health check is why. Why are they trying to convince you, if you're being canceled, or me in the case of the cancelee? Why are they trying to do that? It's a word that starts with a P. Why would someone want to convince other people that you what why would a mob of people try to convince someone else that they are angry, that they're unhinged, that they're embarrassed, that their life is destroyed? Starts with a P. What word am I thinking of in my head right now? To demoralize, yep. To demoralize, but what are they doing? Projection, projection, projection. Power as well. Yes, power as well. The reason they need everyone to be brought down to their level and they cannot exist in a reality where everyone is not at their level is because they are projecting all of their bullshit on to you. And sometimes it can be really difficult to see that it is projection because there are times when you have so many people doing it. I've had thousands of people in my comments saying, "You're angry, you're unhinged. Oh my god, your career's destroyed." They're projecting their own bullshit onto you to try to bring you to their level because it is painful for them to exist in a world where people are not at their level. And the way that you survive this is by keeping a level head, by focusing on yourself, by turning off the damn computer. Turn off the computer. You are not obligated to engage in their mass psychosis. You are not obligated to believe about yourself what they believe about you. In fact, you can write whatever story for yourself that you want. This is going to be easy for the Christians. Because Christians have like a persecution complex. Christians feel like there's virtue in persecution, right? This is like super easy for the Christians. If you are a Christian, this is the time to lean into your persecution complex. And I'm being serious when I say that. If the story that you need to tell yourself in your head to get through a cancellation productively is that you're being persecuted, do it, man. Do it to it. I don't believe that. That's not my personal belief, but I'm saying that I know that that's something that would work for a segment of people. So do it. There's nothing wrong with that. But don't for 1 second allow yourself to believe they're bullshit. You have to keep a level head to know where this is coming from and to know that it's bullshit. I had a guy in my Instagram yesterday. Did I tell you guys this already? I told some group this. It might have been my local Zoom earlier. Pardon me if I'm repeating myself. I had some guy in my Instagram yesterday that was like, "I'm so sorry your book deal fell through." And I was like, "What?" Because my book is still available for pre-order on Amazon, like, right now. My book deal did not fall through. Book's still getting published, still coming out in April. And then he changed tactics and he was like, well, I wasn't talking about that book. I was talking about your next book. I'm sorry that you will never be able to get a publishing deal again and that your career is destroyed over a tweet. And I was like, okay, you don't really know how publishing works. And by the way, people can make actually a lot more money self-publishing than going through one. Like, it is actually a lot easier to go through self-publishing than it is like a publishing house. PS. But I go through a publishing house because I'm lazy and I don't like designing art and editing and stuff like that. But like, to be quite frank, even if I never got another book deal again, which I don't think is actually very likely, but even if I could never get another book deal again, my career still would not be destroyed because I could still do self-publishing and I could still make a lot of money. Don't ever buy into this idea that your career is destroyed. Your career is never destroyed. You can always reinvent yourself. You can always find a way to make money. You can always find people who aren't on effing Twitter. Only 2% of the country is active on Twitter. That's 98% of people who are not. Anyone who tells you that your career is over anything doesn't feel very confident in themselves that they can build a career. I've built 2 different businesses now by myself. I have all the faith that I need that I can build a third, a fourth, a fifth. I know people who can fund it. Why would I allow someone commenting on an Instagram post to make me disbelieve all of that? It just makes no sense. But you are responsible for your perspective and you're responsible for your mindset and you're responsible for keeping yourself in check when these things happen. No one is responsible for your perspective except for you. No one is responsible for how you see the world except for you. No one is responsible for you being able to look at a situation and say, how can I use this to my most advantageous? You know, you guys know I tell Joshua everything. If you guys don't know who Joshua is, he's on my channel every Tuesday night. He's also my life coach in real life. I tell Joshua everything. Joshua actually read the Newsweek article before I even saw it, and he fucking loved it. He loved the entire cancellation. He was like, Carlin, all of these idiots are sending you boundless energy. And you know what I did with that energy? I've been tinkering on a lot of stuff behind the scenes that'll get launched in the beginning of the year that you guys don't know about because I had all these idiots on Mikey Harlow's channel coming at me. And I used their energy that they were giving me. And I've been building a lot of stuff and I'm really excited about it. But you're responsible for that. You're responsible for looking at the situation if you find yourself being canceled, being like, I must have done something to deserve all this attention. You can always twist situations so that you perceive them in the way that's going to benefit you the most, right? I must have done something to deserve this. Otherwise, why would all these people be upset at me? Why would they be upset at me? Use it. If you feel entitled to live a happy and blessed life, as we've already talked about, everyone should feel entitled to live a happy and blessed life, then it is your responsibility to make sure that you are in charge of your perspective, you are in charge of your mindset, and you are taking every opportunity that is presented to you, whether other people believe that is a good or bad thing or not. My original cancellations off of that Trump article led me down this path. They led me to that PragerU video. They led me to be on Ruben's show. They led me to be on Glenn Beck's show several times. They led me to fighting back against critical race theory. Every single negative thing that happens in your life can turn out to be a positive if you allow it to be a positive. And you have to know that when you're going through the worst possible of experiences. Sometimes when people lose their job, which obviously is a thing that happens when people get canceled, sometimes when people lose their job, it turns out to be the very best thing that's ever happened to them in their lives. I've coached people who have lost their job that within a couple weeks got a new job, making more money, doing more of what they wanted to do. They were so thrilled. They didn't like getting fired before, but then you go through the process of going and getting another job and you find out, I could have had so much of a better job this entire time that was more in line with what I wanted to do. I've been fired like 3 different times. The 3rd time I orchestrated my own firing. We don't count that. I orchestrated my own firing. I've told this story before. It was in my 100,000 sub live stream. Just, look it up on the channel if you wanna hear it. But the first time I ever got fired from a job, it was actually really hard because there was no reason for it. Literally no reason. I was never given a reason. It never made sense. I still to this day don't understand it. It made no logical, practical sense. But it was in getting fired from that job that I got the down payment on my house because I forced them into giving me a severance package. That severance package turned into the down payment on my house. It was what led me to meeting my husband because when I moved into that house that I bought with that down payment that I was given only because I was fired, my husband was my mover. So I would have not met my husband had I not been fired from my job. And I needed to get a new job, so I needed to move. It also pushed me more towards the path I'm on now, which is the path that I'm supposed to be on. So what some might losing a job as a result of a cancellation, that job wasn't as a result of a cancel. Maybe it kind of was. I don't know. I actually do think my social media posts at the time had something to do with it. But, people are most afraid of losing their job when they get canceled. Losing my first job to me was one of the best things that ever happened to me in my life. Like, for real. You have to know that every time the universe closes a door, another door is going to open. But it is incumbent upon you to take advantage of the opportunities that you're offered. If you do not see opportunity, then you're not going to take advantage of it. Listen, man, I very easily, when I lost that job, I was depressed. I was really sad. I thought I was on my path. I thought I was doing exactly the right thing I should be doing. It was like a perfect setup for me. I wouldn't be living in New Hampshire right now if I hadn't lost that job. I'd probably be living somewhere way different. But I was depressed for a couple days. Don't get me wrong. I was real effing depressed for a couple days. And then I picked myself up and I dusted myself off. And wouldn't you know it, a recruiter called me the following week and said, I have this job at this university and you look like you have the qualifications for it. Now, I could have curled up in a ball on the couch and say, I'm not ready to go back to work yet. I have this nice little severance package. I can sit here and cry for months and knit. I just started knitting when this happened. I could sit here and for months and knit and cry and watch Netflix. I don't need to go on this interview. I could have done that. That was a very real possibility, but I didn't. I took advantage of the opportunity. I interviewed for the job. I got the job. It was about an hour and a half south of where I was living. I had to move. Bought my house with a severance package, met my husband, ended up in New Hampshire. Best thing that ever could have effing happened. But that was only because I took advantage of the opportunities. Life will always present you with opportunities, but it is incumbent upon you to make the choice to take advantage of them. And I'm bringing this up because one of the things they will tell you emphatically when you get canceled, if you get canceled, we don't want to assume anyone's going to get canceled. We don't want to ever assume it ever. One of the things they'll always tell you is, you'll never be able to work again. Bullshit. Bullshit. I have seen people get fired for overtly scandalous shit. And they were up and running at another job within the month. There are so many news stories every single day. Do you really think people can keep up with everything? Or maybe you do find it hard to get another job, but you know what? That's an opportunity for you to start your own business. That's an opportunity for you to pave your own path, and yes, you can do it. You can make money doing almost everything, almost anything. I'm not gonna say it won't be a struggle. Yeah, Jeffrey Toobin. Jeffrey effing Toobin. Jeffrey Toobin. Nano Warrior saying in the chat. Masturbated on a work meeting. Current commentator on CNN. You think if Jeffrey Toobin can do it, that you can't? Literally, all you guys have to do is, like, not jack off on a work meeting. And you will be at a lower bar than Jeffrey Toobin is. He'll probably still get another book deal. He'll probably still get several book deals. Don't ever allow someone else to tell you what you are capable of or what your opportunities are, because most of the time, they are making it up because they have low self-esteem, low self-worth, and they want you to be as miserable as they are. You can fundamentally reject their premise. You don't have to accept their worldview. Written by Murphy says, these people who cancel, it's all fear and shame. I reject that fear and shame. Fear and shame should always be dropped from my life, not what I want. Stare that shame dragon in the eyes. Not today, motherfucker. And guys, if you think that this is just like Carlin, you just, you have this entitlement, or you have this confidence I don't. Do you think I was always this way? I got this way by walking through fire. I got this way from being tested over and over and over and over again. If I can do it, you can do it. I am not a special and unique snowflake. I am not a unicorn. I am not anything special. Every single one of you can do everything I did. You guys can probably do it a lot better than me. The only way that we develop true resiliency is by walking through fire and coming out of whatever situation it is alive. Don't worry about what's said on Twitter. My God. Is there anything dumber? Don't worry if Carrie Smith writes an article about you, because who the fuck is Carrie Smith anyway? I say it's Carrie Smith's name sometimes and people are like, they have no idea. Even people who are in this kind of like space, they have no fucking idea. She'll say the same thing to me. Well, people don't know who you are too, Carolyn. Well, that's true, and I want to keep it that way because I only want to appeal to the people that I want to appeal to, man. Don't run away from challenges. Don't run away from things that are hard. Don't allow fear of what the mob will do to keep you from doing what you want to do, because you are entitled to live a happy and blessed life. Jaya says, you can only cancel people who care. It's an artificial power they hold. It is an artificial power. They only have power over you if you believe they have power over you. Alexis asks, is there a merch store attached to My Locals? No, there isn't, but there is a merch store attached to the YouTube channel. It should be down there somewhere. I got some cool stuff in my merch store. I've got a t-shirt in my merch store with a black power fist that says, "End systemic racism, defund the schools." I don't promote my merch as much as I should. But no, do not ever run away. You don't have to think you're a snowflake, you can be a diamond, tougher than anything. People only have the power over you that you allow them to have. And oftentimes those people that are canceling you, they're living in a world only surrounded by other people with low self-esteem and low confidence. And if you find yourself if you find yourself being friends with like a cancel mob, dude, get new effing friends. Get new friends who feel good about themselves. Get new friends who will be thrilled for you at your successes. You know, the way I think this whole thing really started with Carrie Smith, who I feel comfortable talking about because apparently she's written a fucking article about me. The reason that I think this whole thing started with her is my platform grew and hers didn't. And I felt so guilty about that. I really did. I felt so guilty. But it all started with jealousy. I would be thrilled. You know, some members of my locals community, they've gone on to like launch their own YouTube channels. Some of them are doing really, really well. I would be thrilled beyond measure if their YouTube channels surpassed mine. Thrilled beyond effing measure. Because if you are a person that believes that every single person is entitled to live a happy and blessed life, why wouldn't you be thrilled for the successes of other people? The only reason that people try to tear down others is because they are afraid of success themselves. So if they can't have success, no one else can either. These people only have the power that you allow them to have. If you say, I fundamentally do not buy into your worldview or the way you're perceiving the situation, and I don't really give a fuck if you release private messages, because I know enough to know the context of those messages. And even though you may make me look like a horrible person to your little cancel mob friends, isn't it sad that the only people you have as friends are engaging in cancel mobs to destroy others because they all have such low self-esteem and low self-worth? That's the only way that they have to bring any value to their lives whatsoever. You have absolute ability to say that. And you have absolute ability to believe that. Every truth is true to those who believe it. And that'll piss them off more than anything. And they'll try harder more than anything. Why the fuck is Carrie Smith writing an article about me right now? Because she's a fucking opportunist. My fucking tweet about the Holocaust had absolutely nothing to do with her. Nothing to do. But her and Mikey Harlow, ooh, Carlin's getting canceled. Boo! The battle horn is fun. Carlin is being canceled. We have to jump on the bandwagon. We have to get involved. We have to maintain our relevance. My God, can you imagine something so sad? That the only relevance that people can find is by jumping on a cancel mob? That doesn't even have anything to do with them? Why would you give people like that power over your life? That's just silly. That is just silly. Oh, Mikey's little troll army is out promoting that video. Holy shit. So, if you want to survive being canceled, you need to have. I gotta wrap this up because I get to go to a school board meeting. Guys, I'm going to a school board meeting tonight. Cross your fingers to me that I'm not gonna get arrested. I'm probably not. I'm not like Matt Walsh. I'm not gonna go speak at a school board meeting where I don't have kids in the school district. But I do have to like actually put on pants and, you know, drive. So I gotta wrap this up in a minute. But I'm wearing leggings right now. I'm not like wearing nothing. Okay. Just I don't want to start any rumors. I'm wearing leggings. I need to put on jeans or something. Um, but to wrap this up, if you are going through a cancel mob, it is absolutely a survivable thing. It is a survivable thing, but you have to believe that it's a survivable thing. And you have to take responsibility for your perspective and your mindset. The first thing that you need to do is look upon the cancel mob as the sad human beings that they are, the sad, broken human beings that they are. Know that they have low self-esteem, they have low self-worth, they don't believe they can bring any value to the world, and that's why they're focused their energy on canceling someone in the first place. Know that you're not the first person they cancel, they're not going to be the last person that they cancel, because they are doing this to try to feed their self-worth. And maybe someday, they will learn that they will never derive self-worth from hurting other people. They will only derive self-worth by being of service in the world and giving things and creating things for the world of value. But never, ever, ever bend the knee to horrible, sad, angry people. You're under no obligation to see the world like they do. And every time they say, you're so embarrassing. You're unhinged. You need a wellness check. Your career is destroyed. It's all fake. It's all gaslighting. It's not real. Your career is never destroyed. You might lose an opportunity, but every time you lose an opportunity, you gain an opportunity. So is it any real loss? Trust that if you work hard and if you focus on things that matter, if you focus your energy and attention in the right direction, you're going to be just fine. The opportunities will come. They always do. You are the creator of your own reality. Face that fact and embrace that fact. That's exactly right. You are the creator of your own reality. You create your perspective. You dictate your actions. You dictate how you focus your energy. No one else does it for you. Yeah, Murphy says, it's like how an abused woman will attack the person who points out that her boyfriend is horrible. She can't admit the problem is real, so the person who points out the truth is the problem, but the truth. Well, Carrie's a new Christian. She's a new Christian. It happens with new Christians. Piety, my God. Yes, Carrie, I can feel Christ's love coming through you, Carrie. I can feel Christ's love. Someone please clip that. Cyrus Jerry says, people who are hellbent on hurting others feel defeated. The more hatred they feel, the more defeated they feel. And that's the other thing too, man, is listen, like I said, I don't view all cancelers as equal. I don't view all people who do shitty things as equal. Some are worse than others. And, you know, it's a sad thing. It is a sad thing at the end of the day. But just because they're sad and broken, and it's a sad thing to watch, does not mean that you have any obligation to allow them to have power over you, because you do not. The only person who controls your perspective is you, no one else. And if you need to shut off the computer for a couple days, if you need to go meditate, if you need to go on a retreat, if you need to go to the spa, get a massage, go shopping, go have an awesome martini, go do it. Go do it. Take whatever good care of yourself you need to take, because you are entitled to live a happy and blessed life. Every single one of you should feel entitled to live a happy and blessed life. Every single one of you should feel entitled to success in the world. Now, that success might be different than, your neighbors or mine or, other people's. But if you feel entitled, I would much rather someone feel entitled every single day of the week than feel disempowered. If I had to choose between a person who felt entitled or disempowered, I'm going to choose entitled every single day. Because entitled people are going to take advantages of opportunities. Entitled people are going to have more doors open to them. That's not to say you're a dick. You don't have to be a dick to feel entitled. That's a different thing. But there's nothing wrong with feeling like you are worthy of a blessed and happy life. Because you are, by sheer virtue of being born. All right, guys, that's all I have. I have to go and get ready to go to a school board meeting. Now, this should be a spicy school board meeting because there's a lot going on. This is the school board meeting that, so a month ago, the chair of the Libertarian Party in New Hampshire was arrested at this school board meeting for not wearing a mask. So 2 weeks ago, a group of us went to the school board meeting. There were like 20 of us. And the school board was so freaked out that they shut down the school board meeting and went into private session. Now, this is 2 weeks later. There's been lots of scandalous stuff that's happened in the last couple of weeks. There's been a teacher touching things that he shouldn't be touching situation. You can look out for more information on that on my Twitter. So we're going to the school board meeting tonight. We're going to have a good old time. I got to go put on some pants. Drive to the school board. All right, guys. Thank you for hanging out. I hope that what I talked about was valuable to some of you. And if you have questions, come join my locals community. I'm much more inclined to answer questions in my locals than I am publicly, although I think I did, open the floor today. But come join my locals, kb.locals.com. And we've got a couple Zoom calls coming up next week. We're going to be doing a new Zoom schedule in the new year, so hopefully giving more people opportunities to join. But I really appreciate everyone in my locals community. I appreciate all of you who came to hang out today, even you hate watchers. Even you hate watchers, you're still giving me advertising revenue. It's all good. It's okay. I'm still giving you value. You're still giving me value. It's all good. But guys, that's all I have. I'll be back tomorrow for happy hour. We're doing happy hour tomorrow, 3 p.m. Come join us.